Hello and welcome to the Art Hitman. I'm Perry McCants and today I'm going to show you how to ink a drawing. For those who follow this channel, help me get 50 likes and 10 comments for this video. Alright, for this inking I'm going to use a 1.5 pen and let's get started. If you notice, I'm going immediately to the contour on the outside of the figure, and notice I'm following the contour perfectly with the pencils. And I'm using a technique known as feathering. That's where you use thin to thick lines. What I'm doing here is each time I apply the pen on the page, I'm lifting it as I get to my point. What this does, it allows the end of the ink that you're doing to come to a fine point. The technique is actually creating an outline that is completely perfect from one end to the other. I'm going in between each finger. And notice I'm going to the outside to inside, inside to outside. Now as I go over the back, I'm using 1.5 because there's a certain thickness to it, and it allows for the figure to actually have a contour around the entire figure. Notice how I'm completely going around the entire figure. There are at some points where I will apply the 1.5 inside, and that's overlapping parts of the anatomy. If you notice his hand, it actually overlaps the forearm. So if you see me using the 1.5, it's going to stand out away from the other pen that I'll use later on in the illustration. Continue to follow this ink around the entire figure. When you get to certain points, if you notice, I'm very carefully just making sure each part is lifted as I bring the pen back down and when I lift it up. This creates a sort of consistency when you're inking. It's not necessarily tracing, but if you notice, it's redrawing what's already there. So make sure your pencil lines are pretty clean. I'm working in and out away from the figure. Now I'm ready for the second portion. What I'm going to be using now is going to be an M, the letter M. This is a much thinner pen. This pen allows you to ink using much thinner line compared to the 1.5. And as you notice, I'm going on the inside and starting with Black Panther's head. Here, this allows you to get a bit more detailed. If you notice, I'm using this contour line to follow the Black Panther's mask. And I'm using the same technique as I mentioned before, the feathering, thin to thick lines. Inside to outside, and then outside to inside. And once again, because the pencil lines are pretty clear, it's easy to follow with a pen. I don't have to guess where certain points are. I can see it pretty clear. So what you want to do is whenever you're doing this is make sure that you use each pen that's for each specific part of the drawing. This is my detail pen. So now if you notice, I'm going into the chest area, ab area, and follow the contour, or I should say the outline of the drawing. In certain areas you want to color in solid, like the corner of his arm I just did there. Those are the shadowy areas, so you can go in and spend more time there if you notice what I'm doing there. And then with his detail on his outfit, I'm just following the contour. It's very simplistic technique. Very carefully follow the contour as much as you can. And for the muscles, try to be exact. Whatever pencil lines you see there, try to mimic that almost identically. Because you want to respect the penciler or the artist that drew it by pencil as close as possible, if not match it perfectly. Be on the lookout for a link above me digitally coloring this inked drawing. Now, with the fingers, you want to be as detailed as possible. The Black Panther has nails on it, so if you notice, I'm doing each one very quickly because when you overthink it, it takes away the quality of what his actual hand looks like. Here I'm carefully putting in his kind of detail around his waist, his muscles in his legs, and you can curve it, arc it, follow these curves as you see me doing in this tutorial. Following what's on his collar. Everything is already in place, so this is really an exercise for practicing inking skills here. The more you get used to how it feels going onto a smooth sheet of paper, the better at it you'll become. You'll become more proficient, and that just simply means you'll become better. Follow the same contour on his left arm as you did with his right. And these are just simple techniques. There's nothing etched in stone. However you want to work, you can feel free to work that way, as long as it's clean looking and the lines are pretty much consistent. Now for his left hand, I'm going in and out, up and down, following the contour, getting his nails in. And you notice how my hand is slightly lifted off the page. You don't want to put your pinky or anything resting on the page because you don't want to smudge any ink. Repeat the same thing for his right leg. In certain areas you want to color in a little bit or fill in solid. Carefully following every detail of the artist that drew it, and with the pencils you want to follow that. Around on his foot, he has of course the base to his foot. Putting in the lines on his left leg. And you can feel free to add a little bit of detail if you want, if you feel like it's not enough detail with the drawing. Just don't go too far and veer away from the original drawing. Now I'm finishing up his foot and putting detail in his toes here, and I'm coming to a close. And if you'd like to see what it looks like at the end, I'll pause it for a minute, and that way you can take a look at it, and I'll clean it up.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe by clicking this round button at the bottom. Also, click one of the 2 videos at the top. Please like this video, tell a friend, and share it on Facebook. Thank you.
The Art Hitman.